Hello, my name is Dr. Ryan Gardner, and I am the trumpet professor at the University of Colorado in Boulder. It is such an honor and privilege to be a part of the Brazil Jazz Trumpet Festival, and I'm just excited to talk to you about some of my favorite fundamental concepts when it comes to playing the trumpet. There are 5 main points that we're going to talk about today. The first one is breathing. The second one is buzzing. The third is going to be airflow. The fourth is going to be flexibility, and the fifth is going to be articulation. When it comes to breathing, a lot of people carry their tension in their breath and then wonder why they can't produce as beautiful a sound as they want, or they feel like they're very limited in terms of their range or in terms of the amount of sound that they're able to produce. A lot of this tension actually comes from breathing. And so in order to create the most easy breath that you can, I would encourage you to think about a couple of things. The first thing I would say is just breathe through your nose as easily as you possibly can. So it's just going to breathe really, really, really slowly and just enjoy that nose breath. It'll look like this. Now, what you can hopefully see is that I'm breathing in and everything is super relaxed, but I'm also building air, not just from the stomach and the diaphragm, but it's really getting into my lungs, and there's expansion here in my rib cage, in my shoulders, and in my back. So let's do that again. And notice how I'm not in any hurry to get a breath. I'm just trying to strive for as easy of a breath as possible. So let's do it one more time. And it should feel very, very, very relaxed. Now, of course, we want to take that same idea and we want to utilize that as we start to breathe in through our mouth. What I'll encourage you to do is almost pretend like you're breathing through a straw. In fact, a lot of times I even have a straw. And what you want to pretend is that you're just breathing through a really consistent airstream. The other thing that I should mention is breathing is like a pendulum. What that means is that whatever you breathe in is exactly what you should breathe out. So it'll kind of look like this. Now, depending on what different ranges you're going to be in, it's going to utilize a different speed of air. So for the low register, we want to breathe in very open and slower air, but more air. In the middle range, it's kind of in the middle. You're going to breathe in a little bit faster air, but still a fair amount of air. So it'll look like this. And then for the high register, you certainly want to breathe in faster air and then speed out faster air. So that will look like this. Now, the concept of the straw is extremely important because if you're thinking about the low register, think about a really gigantic straw. And it's a more open syllable, more like O. As you're going into the middle register, maybe something more like oo. Again, it's more like a normal straw. And then think about like a coffee stirring straw, one that's like really, really small, and you're just going to get a little tiny amount of air in, but it's going to be really fast, and that's more of an E syllable. So the most important thing I can tell you, though, is I'm hoping you can see anytime I'm breathing in air, I'm not trying to get a lot of air in. What I'm trying to do is get as much relaxed air as I possibly can. And if you breathe in relaxed air, you're 100% going to have an opportunity to then expel more relaxed air as well. A lot of times I recommend different breathing exercises. What I do is I count in for 4 beats in and then 4 beats out, and it would look like this. Then I would do 3 beats in, 3 beats out, 2 beats in, 2 beats out, 1 beat in, 1 beat out. These are exercises that my teacher, Vincent Penzarella of the New York Philharmonic, taught to me. But what I think is really great about them is you can actually practice quick breaths. So you can breathe in on a half beat. And if you struggle for getting quick breaths, this is a great way to practice it. So I'll breathe in on the and of 4, but I'm going to breathe out for 3.5. So it'll look like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And the same thing for 16th note breaths. I can breathe in for a 16th count and then out for 3 3/4 counts. So that'll look like this. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and. And again, you're just trying to strive for as much relaxation as you can. So that's our first concept. Let's go ahead and move on to buzzing. So what I have here is one of my favorite tools. It's called a buzz aid. It looks like this. And what I like about it is that I've found that buzzing is a really helpful tool. Now, if you don't have a buzz aid, what I would encourage you to do is use your hand that is less dominant. So more of your non-dominant hand. So I'm right-handed. So if I were to use my mouthpiece and I was going to buzz, I would not use my right hand because I'm right-handed. I would use my left hand because it is more of my weaker hand. What I like about the buzz aid or a burp or anything is that I can stick that here in my trumpet like so, and I'm maintaining the same angle as I would when I play. I think sometimes when we over buzz and we're just using our hands, we can change the angle and then it actually doesn't benefit you in the exact same way as you would want it to. So I would recommend something like that. If for some reason you're not comfortable using either hand, another great option is to use both hands. And if you are going to hold the mouthpiece, I would use, either 2 fingers at the bottom if you're using your weaker hand, or I would use just 2 fingers of each hand, and then that would provide a very, very stable mouthpiece apparatus for us. We could do a lot with buzzing. What I like about buzzing is that there is less resistance when you're just playing the mouthpiece, and more resistance when you get to the horn. So that means that you're going to use more energy and more air when you're using the mouthpiece. I also like the idea of using the mouthpiece because we don't judge our tone quality right from the start. We don't associate the mouthpiece in the same way that we've associated habits on the horn. So I just think it's a really great way, and I start every day by just getting things going on the mouthpiece. If you ever struggle with articulation, this is a really great way to hear what you're doing. But let's put into practice what we were just talking about. And the first thing I would recommend is just playing some easy tones. The whole point of warming up for me is to find a beautiful sound. So I'm going to try and get some of that relaxed breath. And I'm just going to play some beautiful notes. And you just want the sound to be as easy as possible. If you're having any issues with response, maybe take out the tongue and just use some air. In terms of what I would say for buzzing, my favorite exercise is what I call like an ambulance siren. And what that essentially is that we're going to go up steadily and then we're going to go down steadily, and then we're going to go back up steadily and then we're going to go back down steadily. So we're going to kind of explore the range of the instrument. But again, we're going to let our sound and our air do the work. So I'm just going to follow wherever my sound and my air is taking me, and I'm going to just do it very, very slowly. So again, I'm just following wherever my sound and my air are telling me to go. That feels really, really easy. It doesn't feel like I'm working very hard. So now I'm going to do it one more time, and I'm going to try and explore a little bit more range. And hopefully you can hear how it's even going up both and down. So that's something that I would just encourage you to really think about. The next thing that I just want to briefly talk about is flow studies. And flow studies are essentially exactly what you think they are. They're just about getting an easy flow. This can come in the form of stamp. This can come in the form of Chickowitz. So just so you guys know exactly what I'm talking about, this is stamp. It's essentially a lip slur, but the whole idea of stamp is to think up. That's why he adds the upper neighbor, which I think is awesome. Another option is the Chickowitz exercises, which again, he wants to also add some notes before you go. So notes down before you go up, and then not quite making it a lip slur either. So that sounds like this. And again, we're just striving for really easy tone. But what I want to use for a flow exercise with you guys is Clark's first study. And I want to start right on that middle key. When I'm doing flow, what I'm trying to do is create sound as easily as possible and making sure that my air is doing the work and that my sound is staying the same. So what I mean by that is I'm just going to play one note. Then I'm going to add, but I'm going to make sure that both notes sound the same. So again, I'm just using what I call an additive method where I'm like, man, that first sound, easy. Second sound just feels like I'm moving forward and I'm keeping the exact same sound and beauty. Then same thing, next sound. And what you might find is you might have to adjust your airspeed a little bit, but it should be very, very, very easy for you. Great. So that's a little bit on airflow and flow studies. We're going to move on to our fourth point, which is flexibility. Some exercises that I like to use are Irons, the 27 groups of exercises by Earl Irons. I love the Advanced Lip Flexibilities by Charles Collin. And I also am a huge fan of the Schlossberg book, Max Schlossberg's Daily Drills. But what I thought I would do is just give you an idea of the way that I work on flexibility with my students, because a lot of times, the idea of lip slurs is a little bit deceptive. It means that we should use our lip to go from one note to the other. And I would actually encourage you to use your air. So what I mean by that is I want you to basically do exactly what we did in Clark 1. We're going to go from G to C. But the first way that I would have you do it is kind of fill it in chromatically. And the reason we use chromatics is because that is the smallest step in music. It's like we're building a ladder and we're just using the smallest steps. Then the next thing that I would do is take some of those steps out. And so we'll basically play diatonic, which is a scale. Then we're going to start opening up the intervals. So we're getting bigger. Then we're going to go to major third. And then we're going to trick our brain by pretending to actually play the B, but we're not. But we're pretending that we're actually going to give our that valve movement. So that's one way to do it. Another way that I would really encourage you to think about, I like to think about glissing and crescendoing as I'm moving from note to note. So this is a concept of Jim Thompson, who's the professor at the Eastman School of Music and was one of my teachers, and I was very fortunate to be his student. So we're going to gliss and we're going to blow a little bit out and up. It's going to sound like this. And what I hope that you're hearing is that it pops. And that's how I know that I'm using my air rather than my lip. And this same thing happens as we go down. Does that make sense? I hope so. The last thing that I just want to briefly discuss with you is articulation. And There are a couple ways to think about this, but I'm going to just give you my philosophy and my thought. The way that I like to think about articulation is almost like I'm playing a long tone. I'm moving my air all the way through that note, and that's exactly the same thing that you're going to do when you start articulating. I personally like to use the vowel oo, ooh, and I like to either use T or D as my syllable. So for right now, let's use do. Ooh, do, 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 do. You can hear how the vowel is staying constant, and that's the same thing as our air moving. I'm going to do the same thing on the trumpet. And then what I would start to do is I wouldn't change the front, but I would change the length. So ooh, do, 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 do. So it's still moving forward. But it's still driving the bus forward. Does that make sense? So that again, we're not really changing the front, but we're changing the back side of the note as we decide to change the length of our articulation. The other thing that I would encourage you to do is do the exact same thing with multiple tongue. So for example, in triple tonguing, I would say do do boo do do boo do. Do do boo do do boo do. So we're still using that oo syllable, we're using D and G. And I'm going to pretend that it's a long tone. One thing that there's often a misconception of is there's no such thing as short multiple tonguing. There's just no such thing. Everything is strived and derived from the speed of our tongue. I'm still playing very, very long. It just sounds shorter because I'm playing faster. Anyhow, that is the 5 main topics that I wanted to discuss with you today. I hope you found this to be helpful, and if I can be of any help, I hope that you will find me and that I can be a part of your journey, and I wish you all the best in all of your musical endeavors, and enjoy the festival.